It is indeed very heartening for me to be back in Hyderabad, the city where I have grown up in this industry and where I have watched the industry grow during my days in the government, in the state government, and to be amongst all of you and to see how the industry has grown over the years, and from a small fledgling industry which in those days, if my memory serves me correctly, had a turnover of all of 5 crores, and this is less than 20 years ago, and today it's topping 50,000 crores. We've really come a long, long way, and that is a full credit to each and every one of the people here, every one of you in the industry who has made it happen. But there's another reason why I'm very happy to be here, and that is because ITsAP, with whom I have been associated for a very long time in its earlier incarnation as HICIA, at the time when I was the IT secretary, and where we had plotted the chart for the growth of the industry together, and I'm delighted to see how much of it has actually happened. But today ITsAP has actually had a theme of accelerating growth in the SME segment. And while the industry has accomplished many wonderful things, I think today the most exciting part of the industry is really the SME segment and what's happening over there. So I thought I would share with you a few perspectives, and I propose to do this in 2 parts. In the first part, I will just give a broader overview of the industry in the country and its place in the global economy today, and then talk a little more about the SME segment and Hyderabad and Andhra Pradesh. So I'll first give you a brief overview of where the industry stands at the end of the current year. We are barely 10 days away, 12 days away to be precise, from the end of the current financial year. So we have pretty clear estimates of where we stand, and also the outlook for the next. So if you look at what has been happening in the last 1 year, I think the industry is not just continuing to evolve, but the pace of evolution is also increasing. And in fact, the line of business, both in terms of the domain and in terms of the areas in which the companies are working in, are influencing technology spending. Particularly, for example, customer-facing areas, the entire interface is being redefined. And a lot of the past industry investments on customer relationships, and particularly using the newer technologies like social media, mobility, data analytics in the cloud, which have actually democratized technology, have actually now started paying dividends. And that has huge implications for the industry, and I'll come to that in a moment. But as I said, one of the most exciting things is this whole new startup ecosystem, which today has acquired a life of its own and has in fact generated so much momentum that people are seeing it very reminiscent of where Silicon Valley was several years ago, and that we are at the cusp of that growth in this ecosystem in India. And the collaboration between the large system integrators and the startups is beginning to happen. And again, I will come to the question of where those synergies and complementarities are, and why this is good news for both the SIs and the startups. But just a few facts. All of you know that today the economy in the country has slowed down, and there are many clouds and giving rise to very pessimistic views. But the IT sector has certainly been a beacon of hope within that segment. And today it accounts for more than 8% of the GDP. This for an industry which is hardly 20 years old and employs nearly 10 million people directly and indirectly. And in fact, it today actually is what prevents us from having a crisis on the current account deficit because of oil imports. And it actually offsets almost half of that. And if you look at the services export, and India is now increasingly regarded as a very strong global competitor in services, but not having such a good time in manufacturing. So as far as the services export is concerned, the IT part of it accounts for as much as 38% of it. And much of the investment, again, this is an area which I think the SMEs would be very interested in, that